उनकी मेन डिमांड है ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम लागू की जाए। मैं उन सब साथियों को आश्वासन देता हूं, गारंटी देता हूं कि आम आदमी पार्टी की सरकार बनेगी तो गुजरात के अंदर हम ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम लागू करेंगे।
जब पेंशन को, पुराने पेंशन को देने की बात होती है तो क्या जवाब मिलता है इनसे? कहते हैं पैसा ही नहीं है। आप सब ये कहते हैं इकोनॉमी खराब हो जाएगी, पैसा नहीं है हमारे पास। अच्छा, आपके पास कर्मचारियों के पेंशन के लिए पैसा नहीं है, लेकिन बड़े बड़े उद्योगपति मित्र जो हैं आपके, उनके लोन आप माफ कर देते हैं।
राज्यों में ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम को लागू करने की घोषणा की गई है। मैं हाथ जोड़कर आग्रह करूंगा, और यही चिदम्बरम साहब बैठे हैं, डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह थे जिन लोगों ने ओल्ड पेंशन स्कीम के स्थान पर न्यू पेंशन स्कीम इस देश में जो प्रारंभ हुई थी उसको सारे राज्यों को एक फोरम पर लाने।
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Anekantvaad. Today we shall be discussing about NPS and OPS. This is a topic that has been making headlines for quite some time now. It has also become a political debate or a medium through which the voters are being swayed. Well, before we get to the pros and cons of each of those, let's actually understand what OPS and NPS is. OPS, as it is, old pension system, was persisting in India prior to 2004. And according to this model, an employee after his tenure of job, he gets to draw 50% of his last drawn salary. That is to say, for example, if I was employed in an PSU and my last salary was 5 lakh rupees per month, after I am retiring, every month I will draw 2.5 lakhs of my salary, and this is till I die or till my death. Now here the best part here is that none of the amount that I'm receiving after my retirement was contributed by me. There was zero contribution on the part of the employee, and so that is really wonderful for the employee to receive so much money. But the real concern is the state government, because though I might be getting 2.5 lakh rupees, I am giving no service. This expenditure for the government is absolutely unproductive because they derive no service or no productivity or efficiency out of me. In that regards, a new model of pension system was envisaged in year 2004, that is to say the new pension system. Now in this new pension system, the idea is that this will be a contributory in nature, wherein the government will continue to be making certain amount of contribution towards my pension, as well as the employee will make contribution during his tenure. And as it goes, every month certain amount of money is set aside from my salary and from the government and is invested in a pension fund. And that pension fund is again a pool of all the pension contributions of all the employees and the government's part, and that is invested in the market. So this is a market linked scheme, and the returns I derive out of it will be market returns. That is to say, it also grows 12% CAGR based upon how the markets are performing on an average basis. So this is what NPS and OPS is. Now we will look into how NPS is better than OPS. The major reason why NPS is better than OPS is the fact that it inculcates a habit of saving. If you look in OPS, the employee had no contribution to be made. He was absolutely enjoying all his pension without any worry, without any contribution, and the only thing that was within his head that this is a free money. Whereas if you look at NPS, since it is a contributory fund, since it is market linked fund, it gives a sense of investing, a sense of saving to the employee, and that builds a good financially literate citizen. Second aspect, if we look here, is that since it is pooling of resources, these resources of every employee's contribution is directly or indirectly put into the market, and once it goes into the market, that gives liquidity to the fund. As it gives liquidity, that in certain way acts as a catalyst to the growth, because the more there is liquidity, there will be definitely more demand, more expenditure, more economic growth. So it acts as a catalyst to economic growth. Again, another aspect here is that in OPS, the contribution was made by the government, but you really have to understand how is the government making those contribution. If the government is giving money to the ex-employee, it is through the revenue that it derives, the loans that it takes. The revenue, the major source of revenue is those citizens who are paying taxes in that particular year. Now let's take an example here. that today in 2023, if there was an employee under OPS, right now he is giving no service, but he is getting paid by the revenues of this year, and those revenues of this year are being paid by people like us who filed taxes. So it is in a way backstabbing, or taking away the resources from the current generation to pay to the other generation, for them being contributing zero, for them being inefficient, for the lack of a better word. So NPS in a way brings intergenerational equity. The fourth point I would like to talk about is that the resources is a constraint. Beyond a certain point, a lot of resources cannot be raised. You have to take debt and all of that for states, because they function as a welfare state and not a business entity. So continuously contributing towards an OPS model will be a hard thing, because if I'd like to put out certain kind of a data wherein the share of pensions compared to the revenue that states have been generating on their own has risen from 8.7% in 1990s to 25.9% in 2020-21. And another data I'd like to say, that out of the total revenue expenditure of the states, nearly 40+% is allotted to pension payments by UP, Punjab, Odisha and Kerala, 50+% by Bihar and Uttarakhand, and northeastern states allowed as much as 72% of their total revenue. So if you see, in a way, all this high percentages of the revenue is going for unproductive, lack of capital building kind of an expenditure, which in no way is going to help in the growth of the economy. So this is not a right way approach. And the last one which I would like to touch upon is the social indicators. Now we all know that India has a demographic dividend, that is, we are a young population, but we also have to have this in our mind that this is not gonna stay forever. Even China has already peaked. Today we might be growing, but there will come a time in next 5 to 10 or 15 years where we will peak, and once we peak we will start aging, and once that happens there'll be less number of young people coming and there'll be more old people. So in a way we will have less resources coming and more resources to be allotted, so that imbalance will get greater and wider in the coming years. Second, as our life expectancy rises, the number of years the pension has to be paid will also increase. Third, today we are a fastest growing economy, and China was also one of the fastest growing economy some time back. Despite that, now they have reached a stage where it is not as fast as it was earlier. So today we might rely on the premise that we are fastest growing economy, we will manage. That is temporary, that is for certain years, but after which once your base effects come into picture, you will slow down. You will definitely slow down. In fact, USA, which is one of the biggest economies in the world, it is said that after the year 2032 to 36, there will come a time where even they will face a revenue expenditure issue with regards to social security. Another aspect that is very important here to be mentioned is the fact that the whole idea of pension system, the old pension system, is wrong, because first of all, no infrastructure, no capital building, no contribution by the state, but this is absolutely taken care of by debt. The states have been funding their pension expenditure by taking more and more debt, and this is an unhealthy habit, because what has happened with Sri Lanka can happen to a lot of our states. It's a different story that RBI and the union government might come to save them, but why do we even have to reach that stage? Because the decisions taken by the governments today will impact decisions of the government that will come 20 years, 25 years, 30 years later in the future. And this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. And that is an unhealthy habit. This last one I would like to mention here is that if 20%, 30% of your resources are being paid as a part of old pension system, you also have to realize that 20% of the revenue is paid to nearly 2 to 4% of the citizens, because government employees are very less. They are as much as 4% of the whole population. And for that, if you allot 20% of your resources, there's absolutely imbalance. Something is very absurd and something is very wrong, and we really have to consider this. So I think this is all what I wanted to put forward, and I hope you really understood and realized what I'm trying to say. If you have any suggestions, views, comments, please comment it and we'll get back with that.